The neighborhood of Elmwood Grove looked perfect on paper. Manicured lawns, identical beige houses with white trim, and streets so clean they sparkled after every rain. We had moved in just 3 weeks earlier, chasing the quiet life after years in the city. My name is Alex Rivera, a software engineer working remotely. My wife, Elena, was a civil engineer who had taken a break to focus on our growing family. We thought we were finally settling down. We were wrong. The Elmwood Grove Homeowners Association ruled with an iron fist, and its president, Margaret Maggie Hargrove, was the face of that control. Everyone called her Karen behind her back, but never to her face. She was in her late 50s, always dressed in pastel cardigans, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She patrolled the streets in her white golf cart like a sheriff in a frontier town. Our first introduction came on moving day. Maggie appeared at our driveway before the truck was even unloaded. "Welcome to Elmwood Grove," she said, handing me a thick binder. "Please review the covenants. Violations must be corrected within 14 days. No exceptions." We nodded politely. Elena even offered her a glass of lemonade. Maggie declined. Over the next weeks, the notices started. Our welcome mat was the wrong shade of gray. The flowers Elena planted were not on the approved list. My parked car had a faint water spot on the hood that she photographed at dawn. Each time, I fixed what I could. Elena kept her calm, reminding me that it was just adjustment. Then came the door. Our front door was solid oak with a modern smart lock we had installed ourselves. It matched the neighborhood aesthetic, or so we thought. But Maggie decided the lock's matte black finish violated Section 4.7 of the covenants. All hardware must maintain a brushed nickel appearance for visual harmony. I explained it was a security feature. She wasn't interested. One Thursday afternoon, I was alone in the house finishing a project deadline. Elena had gone to the doctor for a routine checkup. I heard sharp knocking at the front door. Through the peephole, I saw Maggie standing there with a clipboard and, strangely, a key ring in her hand. I opened the door, but kept the chain on. "Mr. Rivera, I have a duty to inspect. There's been a complaint about possible structural issues with your entry hardware," she said coldly. "There's no issue. I'm working. Please come back when my wife is home." She ignored me. As HOA president, I have master access rights in emergencies. This qualifies. Before I could respond, she tried a key in our lock. It didn't fit. She tried another, and another. Her face reddened with frustration as the lock refused every attempt. The smart lock beeped warnings. "Ma'am, you need to leave," I said firmly. She stepped back, pulled out her phone, and dialed 911. "Yes, this is Margaret Hargrove at 1422 Elmwood Drive. I have a resident refusing lawful HOA inspection. He's being hostile. I fear for community safety." I closed the door and locked it. My heart was pounding. This had gone too far. 10 minutes later, 2 police cruisers pulled up. Officers Ramirez and Thompson stepped out, both experienced, calm professionals I'd seen around town. Maggie met them on the sidewalk, gesturing wildly toward my house. "He changed the lock illegally. I couldn't gain access. This violates every rule." Officer Ramirez approached my door and knocked professionally. I opened it, explaining the situation calmly and showing the HOA binder and our purchase records for the lock. Thompson was taking notes when something shifted. The side gate opened. Elena stepped out into the front yard, carrying a small paper bag from the pharmacy. She looked surprised by the police cars but composed. "Alex, what's going on?" Maggie turned triumphantly. "There. His wife is complicit too." Elena walked forward. She was wearing a simple sundress, her hair tied back. The officers looked at her and froze. Officer Ramirez's pen stopped mid-sentence. Thompson's shoulders stiffened. Both men stared at Elena as if they had seen a ghost. "Elena Voss?" Ramirez said quietly, using her maiden name. Elena paused, then gave a small, knowing smile. "It's Rivera now, officer. Has been for 4 years." The 2 cops exchanged a stunned glance. Maggie looked between them, confused and irritated. "You know her?" Maggie demanded. Thompson cleared his throat. "Ma'am, Mrs. Rivera was the lead structural engineer on the Riverside Bridge retrofit project 3 years ago, the one that saved the city millions and prevented a potential collapse during the floods. We were there for the ceremony. The whole department knows the story. Ramirez nodded slowly. You testified against the corrupt contractor who cut corners. Your evidence helped put him away. We still talk about that case in training. Elena's cheeks colored slightly. I was just doing my job. Maggie's face went pale. That doesn't matter. The covenants. Officer Thompson turned to her, his voice firm but controlled. Mrs. Hargrove, attempting to forcibly enter a resident's home with unauthorized keys is not within HOA authority. That's trespassing. And calling us for this, it's a waste of resources. Maggie sputtered. But the rules don't override state law or common sense, Ramirez added. He looked at me and Elena. Do you want to press charges for the attempted unauthorized entry? Elena shook her head.
No.
We just want to live peacefully. Maggie tried one last protest, but the officers escorted her back to her golf cart. They warned her clearly. Any further harassment could result in real legal consequences. As she drove away, her usual confident posture was gone. That evening, Elena and I sat on the back porch. The sun was setting over the identical rooftops. I didn't want to bring it up, she said softly. I thought starting fresh meant leaving the old spotlight behind. I took her hand. You saved lives with that bridge. You stood up when no one else would. That's nothing to hide. The next weeks brought change. Several neighbors quietly reached out. They had been afraid to speak against Maggie before. One by one, they shared stories, fines for minor decorations, threats over children's basketball hoops, pressure to vote a certain way on board matters. A community meeting was called. Elena didn't plan to speak, but when Maggie tried to steamroll the agenda again, Elena stood up calmly. She didn't attack. Instead, she spoke about balance, how rules create harmony but fear destroys community. She shared simple ideas for fair enforcement and resident input. Her words, delivered with the same quiet authority that once swayed city officials, resonated. By the end of the meeting, a vote was held. Maggie was removed as president. A new, more reasonable board was elected. Months later, our daughter was born. We named her Sophia. On the day we brought her home, several neighbors brought gifts. Officer Ramirez even stopped by off-duty with a small teddy bear from the department. Maggie still lived in Elmwood Grove, but her golf cart stayed in the garage most days. The neighborhood felt lighter, like a weight had been lifted. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that afternoon when Maggie stood at our door with her useless keys. She thought she held all the power. But the real key was never metal. It was the quiet integrity my wife carried, the same integrity that once held up a bridge and later unlocked an entire community. Elmwood Grove still has rules, but now they serve the people who live here, not the other way around. And our front door? We kept the smart lock. It still opens smoothly every single time.